Hello. It's been a while since I sent out an update on what's going on in Harrisburg. So I thought since we are in the middle of the budget talks, this is as good a time as any because the biggest issue facing our state right now is the budget. The state roughly has a $4 billion deficit, largely due to overspending and until recently, lagging revenues. I say until recently because we are finding out that we have about a $500 million surplus of what we thought we were going to have. Governor Tom Corbett unveiled his first budget in March, which has total expenditures of $27.3 billion. This is a 3.1% reduction, or an $866 million less spend number than what was spent last year. Our state has been overspending for far too long, and it's vital to our future financial well-being that we stop that. And although the cuts are painful across the board, the individual budget for the different line items aren't set in stone yet, meaning that the amount for the individual line items, for example, education and hospitals, may still be changed from one line item to another without affecting the overall total budget spend number. What lines to change, what lines to add to, or what lines to cut further are the big questions that the legislature will be working on in order to finish this budget, hopefully on time this year. Basic education funding has been propped up over the past 2 years with federal stimulus dollars. Those dollars are gone, and that's a big bite out of the schools' budgets. The state just doesn't have the money to replace those federal dollars. Our financial situation, from our federal government to our school boards, is really poor right now. We will get through it, but it will not be easy. You may have heard, as I mentioned earlier, that our revenues are coming in stronger than anticipated. And while that's very good, the bottom line is that we are still billions of dollars in debt and need to continue working to find savings. Which brings me to another point concerning the budget. The House of Representatives brought forth their version of the budget a couple of weeks ago, and it reinstates money, not all of the money, but a good portion of it, back into basic ed and higher ed. They do this by taking about $400 million from the welfare line item through cutting fraud and waste, as per Auditor General Jack Wagner's audit of special programs last year, and also just making some cuts across the board in that department. Incoming Welfare Secretary Gary Alexander stated in a public hearing a couple of weeks ago that he wasn't sure whether or not there was that much money to be had, but he is working on that now, and we should know that shortly. Another line in the welfare budget, which I have been pushing to change, is state spending in paratransit, also known as taxi cabs, costs, and mileage reimbursement for transportation of methadone clients. I have a piece of legislation which restricts clients to the closest approved clinic. The state spent over $32 million last year on transporting methadone users to these clinics. That's about 20% of our total Medicaid transportation budget. That has to change, and hopefully this legislation will do that. It passed out of committee a few weeks ago and is awaiting some tweaks so it can be brought to the full Senate for a vote. Additionally, I've had the opportunity to meet with many of the workers who work day to day in the welfare department, and they have many good ideas too about what changes need to occur, and I plan on taking their input to our secretary. Another piece of legislation, which I sponsored, requires public work contractors and subcontractors to verify through the e-Verify system that the people they are hiring to do the work are in our country legally. This is in no way targeting people who are living and working in our country legally. The legislation is important for national security reasons, for tax revenue reasons, because if someone is illegal, they aren't paying taxes, for employment of our own citizens, and for a level playing field when contractors who must bid on a project and who are working by the book as it pertains to wages and insurances that they will be paying are competing with those contractors who aren't following the rules. The legislation passed committee and is set to be voted on by the full Senate any day now. Well, that's it for now. Thank you for listening, and please consider passing this on to your list. I haven't sent out the traditional newsletters because it costs a lot of money to cover the 250,000 constituents who live in the district I serve. We have been trying to use more email, Facebook, website, which is senatorward.com, and other social media sites to get our message out. While this is cheaper, it's also limited to those folks who have an email address. So again, please help us keep costs down and keep folks informed by passing this message on and letting them know they can get on the list by going to senatorward.com and filling out the contact form. Thanks, and have a great week.